Good morning, everyone. A little gloomy out here, but that is okay because guess what? Today is Fantabulous Friday. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so AKA Naughty Boss, live with two
Sistas. Good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, with a little doggy right there. And he's quiet, so we're just going to leave him there, which I have two little ones, so this is a good thing. So, excuse me, Fantabulous Friday. A lot always going on in the world of TwoSistas and beyond. And let's get the party or the conversation started. I just want to give a big shout out to my grands who absolutely made Great Auntie's Day, my Princess Ray Ray and my Jetty Jed. Oh my gosh, love these kids. Love all my grands, of course, and Kaylee and Know the Code. But so, just to see my grandniece and grandnephew and so excited to see me just warms my heart. So they just absolutely made my day. So thank you to Princess Ray Ray and Jetty Jed.
Yeah, they are having breakfast right now and getting ready for a co-op school, which I'm really excited. Jed, what's the name of that school that you go to? It's called, well, it's a co-op, and, alternatives of education with great curriculum that you're not in the public school because there's just so much going on. And I really excited to see classrooms, what they do. So they do this on Fridays.
Oh, we're having a little trouble with the
and I think most people, and we've talked about this, are homeschooling have found out the schedules are more efficient each day. The children are getting ahead of where they would be otherwise because everything is about quality, not quantity. So in a shorter period of time, they're learning whatever school curriculum they have that particular day, whatever the teachings are. And they are also incorporating so many different avenues there's a farm and forest school, there's ways to do field trips, different co-ops, and it's really expanding not only the horizon on learning and really absorbing what's going on in our world and being involved in their community. It's really opening up a door, another avenue to make other great relationships with brand new friends, as well as really the parents really kind of collaborating together on creative ways in really emphasizing, the importance of learning and different ways to learn, because we all know, we always talk about this. Everyone is different. We look different. Our insights are different. Our healthy is different. Well, so what? Our learning styles are different. And those that really took it by the bullhorns, and they're really seeing their child really progress in such a way that I think in some ways they're surprised, because we always talk about the parent, the caregiver is really the first teacher of that child, and now to take on where they should be in the normal school brick and mortar building, have taken on that role a step further, because let's face it, mommy is daddy or mommy and daddy, but you walk into whatever classroom setting that you've created at your home, then it becomes, the teacher, Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Smith. So that, you're playing, you're into hats, which women, I have to give the shout out to all women and dads too. We have an ability to wear multiple hats. And that's something to celebrate on this Fantabulous Friday.
I think it really is. And it just goes to show you the dynamic.
Jan, are you frozen? She might be frozen. Looks like she's frozen. I'm not sure.
No, not frozen. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Looks like we are having technical difficulties on both ends. So obviously we do apologize now. Carol Sue is frozen on my end. I can hear.
We're just checking, see where the connection is. Sometimes this happens on a live video. I'm going to go out here. Let's see if we can connect. Hold on. I'm just double checking something.
No problem.
Okay. All right, there we go. I think we got a better connection now. This is what happens on live video sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. And so I'm changing my direction of where I am. Now I'm outside, but I'm not getting wet. So that is a good thing. But, that happens on, depending on where we are, the connection may be good, the connection may be not so good. So I'm not sure. I would imagine that we both froze up for a second because I couldn't see you. I don't know where we left off, but we're talking about Fantabulous Friday and all the goodness of homeschooling and being a part of what's going on in this real movement of parents taking charge of their child's education. And what a blessing it's been. But today I'm going to a co-op school to see another way of kids being taught and really learn things from a gamut of different teachers. So it's pretty exciting.
That does sound exciting. And what I was trying to say before, I think it's amazing in just a short amount of time how things have evolved. And when presented with different mechanics of, let's just say, what was happening, and to implement new strategies to make it happen for, parents around the world, moms, dads, or, those different households where, you have the mom or the dad that is working still from home, not in their brick and mortar business. And they're not only working from home, but they're also trying to oversee their child's homeschooling or virtual situations, classrooms, or whatever. So much has happened, but it just goes to show you that the resiliency of and the commitment to make this a better place for our children is paramount. And what better way to do that to start with education right at home, and now a co-op situation. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Exactly. And last night we as we've kind of been sharing with the journey of parents fighting back for what's going on in the schools, because the whole intent is to really get children back into that kind of normalcy of going to school, but some things have to change. And we have a group of parents, caregivers, stakeholders, business owners in this particular district. As I've really been sharing the journey, it's been 6 months of really developing a case against the school committee board, as well as the administration. And, you go from one rabbit hole to the next. And last night, was an opportunity to share with parents from both towns in this particular district, not only the curriculum, but the inconsistencies of what is going on between who is in charge, between the school committee, and then you have a superintendent that you think that he's actually the one pulling the strings, I should say. And what they're finding is there's too many inconsistencies with the curriculum that's coming through, as well as CRT, SEL, and CSE. And guess what? We officially, it's going to be, once we now have talked to many parents of both districts, we have, this group has filed the necessary paperwork in either town for a recall. And we're starting our initiative to kind of blast that out. The affidavits have been submitted to both the two towns, and they are looking to recall 5 seats at that table that do not represent the majority of this district, that sadly have really, the only word to describe what they do is it's a dereliction of duty. They are not meeting the needs of the constituents that voted them in, as well as the needs of the children. And the whole theme of this year, from an administrative point of view, has been to change the hearts and minds of children. And parents question that. Why would you want to change my child's heart and mind? And sadly, yeah, there are people that need to change their hearts and minds, and it's not the children. It's the people that are supposed to be protecting them. It's the people that are supposed to be representing them. It's the people that's supposed to have their best interest and do what's right for the majority, and not asking questions, not being proficient in understanding their oath, not being proficient in how they're actually supposed to do their job as an elected official, is not going unnoticed. And the only way to change that is to change who's at the seat of the table. And that's what's happening. So this is our official day that we're going to be starting to blast that out to the public, because the affidavits have been received. We have confirmation of that. And people need to know, they need to start poking into what's going into their child's education. We've revealed very pornographic books within the library, especially in the high school. Ones that would be considered reading almost a rape victim's account of her rape in a police report. These are very graphic books. We have proof of them. We also have, it's just a whole history of what we've been digging and building into the case, emails, public records that really contradict what has been told to the public. And we're exposing that. And it's not about personality. It's not about, oh, I don't like that person, so I don't want them there. They're just not doing their job. They have become complacent. We have 2 members. I believe one member has been on for 37, 38 years. Another one's been on for 34, 35 years. And then there are some that have political biases. When you are an elected official, part of your oath is not showing, obviously, if you're not representing a party, is to not show your political bias or your ideologies. And what is going on today is a travesty and is egregious, because children are being indoctrinated with this program that's called SEL, which is the stepping stone to CRT. And SEL stands for social emotional learning, which back in the day was very prevalent for a child that has special needs, and it should not be taken away from them. Their needs are different from a child that don't have the special needs or an IEP plan. So we're not saying that, because those families have to be embraced. The other children that have to be embraced are those that don't have a lot of parental guidance, or maybe a one-parent situation, that parent needs help. So again, services need to be provided for those children. But to blanket the entire district into this new version of social emotional learning, which is the core root of it, is to really put a wedge between the caregiver, the parent, from the child. So in this SEL, the framework of it, the first thing is not about the social emotional learning connection with the parent. It's about the social emotional learning connection with the teachers. Teachers are not psychologists. They're there to teach history, English, math, sciences. They're not there to be psychologists to children. How many times can we relate to, one day you may run into somebody, you're just not in that good mood. We always talk about mindset, but that should not, that first meeting or maybe that encounter does not depict who you are as a person. Maybe you're just having a bad day. Well, we could definitely say that for children. So the first thing that they're trying to do is connect the child, not with the parent. They want the child to come to the teacher. The second piece of that wheel, because it's a wheel that they use, a framework, is the school. So again, not the parent, go to the school administration, leave the parent behind. Third comes the parent, and then the community. And that's a problem. It's a deliberate methodology of putting a wedge between the child and the student. The child and the parent. We just learned, like breaking news last night, that a neighboring town, in part of their SEL that they're introducing, is now having children grades 6 and under. They each have a diary. The diary stays at the school. They want the children to talk about a certain topic of emotion, and then they're to turn in that diary every Friday to the teacher. The teacher then discusses the issue. The parent is totally excluded from this. The other thing that we've uncovered in this particular state is that medical doctors, medical facilities, your physician, your doctor's offices are now, how it's so cool, you can go online. Geez, I just had this test, I want to go on my chart. And a lot of hospitals and doctors' offices have adapted that. Great, it's so great, right? A 13-year-old now can have her own chart, and the parent has to ask permission to get into that child's chart. 13 years old. That should not be. A child at 13 years old, 14 years old, 50, a child is under the guidance of their parent until they're 18, not the other way around. So it's not just happening in the schools, it's spilling over into many areas, and we've enlightened a lot of parents. And this, the school committee has turned a blind eye to it, except for maybe 1 or 2. So we don't want to call them all out. We want to make sure we're clear on that. But this district is going to recall 5, total of 5. And we will see if the town sits on it. If either town sits on it, that's going to be an issue. But it was a very powerful week between meetings, and today's our official day to blast it off. So we're starting right here on TwoSistas. Breaking news.
How awesome is that? Just curious, I have a question for you. You
Sure.
said that you're going through the process of recalling 5. How many are actually on that board?
There's 5. There's a total of 7. Sorry, there's a total of 7.
Okay.
We are recalling 5. So there is, because this is 2 towns, it's a district with 2 towns. One town is having 2 of them recalled, and one town will have 3 recalls. Now, again, there's a process that it goes through. They've been submitted to either town clerk. And, you know, we've got a little bit of legal pushback, but we're going to be pushing right back. We're going to see if they sit on them. The point being is we want to get it out to the public that they are, in fact, this group has submitted the necessary affidavits. So we follow the recall process to the law. We've had legal counsel on that, and legal counsel is going to kind of wait and see what we can do, because they're like, you guys are on it, you're strong, you followed it to the law, you submit it, you guys can do this, because it's, you know, kind of small. I don't want to say small potatoes, that initial get-go part of actually submitting. But we like I said, you have to submit, and each town has a different recall process, meaning excuse me, by numbers. So maybe one town might need 10 affidavits per person, or whoever you're recalling, and another town may have 25. So we went over and above, because obviously the town clerk would have to verify that that person is a registered voter. Everything has to be certified by a notary, so their signatures are witnessed by a notary. All have been done that. And then they will also verify that their address matches, you know, where they vote, to make sure that they're actually a registered voter. So there is a process. We've submitted, and I believe the official date that they received them was on this past Tuesday. Today is Friday. Obviously, we have not heard back from anything, but we are blasting it out so everyone knows what is going on. And, you know, when you're recalling or attempting to recall, I should say that, when you're attempting to recall 5 out of 7, there's a reason for that. And it has nothing, and I want to make sure that people understand that this has nothing to do about personality, anyone's personal life. It is about dereliction of duty, plain and simple. They are not following their code of ethics. There's many open meeting violations. They are not meeting the constituents' needs, and they're not being, the transparency is probably the biggest piece to it, because parents have questions and they're like, we're not going to answer. They just refuse to answer. They sit up there like paper cardboards, except for maybe 1 or 2 that really have it. And you know, the public didn't just say, let's go for a recall. Like, we've gone to the meetings. You know, I fly back here all the time for that. And we've asked to, you know, meet the parents halfway. You know, you would think an elected official, I don't know, Jan, on your point of view of this, but you would think an elected official would want to partner with their constituent. You know, would want to say, hey, you voted me in. Tell me what you think is not right. What can I do to improve? What can, you know, oh, you've got a good idea. They meet maybe out of 100% range, 10%, if that. And you can't have that. Because the school district in itself, the administration, which obviously is separate from the school committee, did a survey on certain issues. And one of the issues was, of course, wearing masks to make a choice. Over close to 70% said no, you know, choice is fine, but we don't want the mandate. Well, of course, in this state, it is a mandate for children in grades 5 years old, or age 5 years old and up, and staff. And that is mandated by a hypocrisy government in this particular state, because they just had last week, actually a week ago, or maybe it's been 2 weeks now, first weekend in November, they had the Massachusetts School Committee like conference for the weekend. Close to 70% were not even masked. And the commissioner who's ordering this mandate wasn't masked all weekend. They were in a hotel. They were in, I think, Nantucket, having a grand old time. I mean, obviously they broke out in sessions. Some were masked, and that is okay. But the point is choice. And that choice should also be given to students, staff, and it's not. And now they're trying to, the school committees as a whole are trying to infiltrate that parents like be masked up for a school committee meeting when they don't even fall under the same bracket. That's not even under the jurisdiction. So the one good thing that the school committee did is they did listen to the parents. We've been begging for this in September to, make mass choice at going to a school committee meeting, because the DESE and the state has no jurisdiction, because it really would depend on the local mandate. And neither of these towns have any local mandates regarding masks, because the numbers don't warrant it. They don't. So there's a whole gamut of things that are going on, but we're excited. We're passionate about, we love sharing what we've learned, and we're still learning. We go through one hoop, and then we find out it leads us to another hoop. And the problem is that we have a broken system, and the only way to change that broken system is to get new people in place. And again, it has nothing to do with their personalities, their personal lives. It's nothing. I'm sure they're all nice people. It has nothing to do with that. It's just they are not doing their job. And we got to change that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go back to where you start to ask me, from my point of view, how do I say this without it coming out really strong? I'm just going to come out and say it. It's called blatant ignorance. In other words, you have this, obviously this school board, 2 from one district, 3 from another. That's 5 out of 7. So what does that tell you? There's a dereliction of duty. So they have not expected parents to come out as they have, grandparents, whatever it may be, family, friends, to start the pushback. So when this originally started happening, everything was being swept under the rug, as it has been. Oh, nobody will notice this because nobody ever comes. Well, then people started to show up. Now it's at the point where they're trying to push back and say that they are doing things in a certain way. And obviously this is from my point of view, and I just want to let everybody know, I have not been to any of these meetings, but I'm just trying, from a legal standpoint, and I am not an attorney, I'm a former paralegal, 30 years experience. But what I've learned from my 30 years is that there's a human behavior and connection with blatant ignorance. You either do something because you want to do something, or you do something because you don't want to do something. It's still blatant ignorance. If it's not, if you are representing the children, meaning the school board, but you are not following through with what you are supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it without insinuating your ideologies or any political things, that's blatant ignorance. So shame on those 5. That's all I have to say. And we're going to be talking about this a lot more. In fact, I have a little conversation with you after this recording, things that just came up in my head. I don't want to share them right at the moment. I probably will at some point, but
She's always good for that, folks. She's always good for that.
I have a lot of good ideas, but sometimes I don't want to share them, outright. But and like I said, I probably will at some point, but really the point being is, if you are a parent, grandparent at one of these meetings, and you're presenting, for instance, what you said about one of those books that's absolutely pornographic. I recall seeing about 2 months ago a video of such parent doing that. It was caught on some major news networks caught it. And the parent was presenting the book to the board that approved it, yet they shut her off. So what does that tell you? Blatant.
Exactly. And sadly, the part being is in their defense, a school board, a school committee is an elected body, and they have oversight, but they do not get involved with the day-to-day activities until it reaches a certain level. We have followed, and I want people to understand that there is a chain of command that you have to go to. And our thing with these books in particular, and actually some of the national books that you've heard with the Virginia parents, these are the same books that are in this district. Ironically, the cartoon book, which is it looks like the whole book is comics, and the pictures are explicit. We've actually spoke to one attorney who would say, I would be marching down. I would have every single parent march down to the local courthouse and file a criminal complaint, illicit, pornographic material to a minor, because these are minors. Now, we are not talking about censorship. We are not talking about, that this book should never be bought. There's a time and a place. And these books are not in the right place. And this is not the right time for these young minds to be looking at those kinds of things. We're not saying that they're never going to look at those kinds of things. We are not saying that they're not going to explore their emotions and who they are, their identity, and who they, the natural aggression of or progression of, a child developing and emotions and all that, of course. What we are saying is that there is certain literature, if you want to call some of this literature, that it's not appropriate. And don't you remember days where even commercials, had to be appropriate, age appropriate? How about, the warning on cigarette labels? Children couldn't buy cigarettes at a certain age. You can't drink till a certain age because it's a requirement. It's a matter of age appropriate. You can't drive a vehicle for a certain age. And when you come into talking about, and they've relabeled it, before it would be called health education. Now they're naming it comprehensive sex education. Parents are not comfortable with that. That is something that parents, age appropriate, are going to talk to their own children in the privacy and confines of their own homes. Now, we understand that some children are missing those needs. So we're not saying it has to be blanket either way, but you have to realize that by doing that and trying to infiltrate the child's mind, you are putting a wedge between the sole guidance of that parent or caregiver. And now you put a wedge. So the child is going to feel, by the way that they're slowly indoctrinating them, that the school and the teachers are the one that they need to depend on for social emotional learning. That's not happening. Excuse me, that's not happening. And that's where parents are like, whoa, wait a minute here. These are my children. Until they're 18, they're my children. That is how it works. And people need to, sadly, they need to get involved. And I think the sad part of it is, especially in this district, is you have so many people that will show up for a marijuana dispensary. You'll have so many people that will show up for some zoning meeting regarding Amazon or a brewery. Children deserve, and they don't have the voice. They're not old enough to have the voice. They don't have the mental ability to have the voice to speak up for themselves. Yes, when, later on in high school, they're developing that maturity. That's a whole different ballgame. But again, under the guidance of their parent, there's parents that are very involved with their child's life. And so it should be. Now, we do also know that a lot of children fall through the cracks. So this, again, is not talking about those children. This is talking about the majority of children that this type of indoctrination should not happen, should not be intervened. And hopefully we will be successful, but step one was completed. We're very proud. And that is what I'm celebrating on this Fantabulous Friday.
That is amazing. And on that note, we're going to close it out by saying Fantabulous Friday, celebrate your wins this week. Go out into your community if you can and find different ways that you can make a difference. My name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I am with TwoSistas.
And this is Carol, so aka Naughty Bus. Little horse going on today. Did a lot of speaking last night. So proud of Dudley, Charlton Dudley United. It's a great group of parents, caregivers, stakeholders, grandparents that have decided to step the game up, to get involved with whatever child that they love dearly. What I love about it is it's helping all children. That's what we're all about. We are the voice for those that don't, the children. You guys have a great Fantabulous Friday. Have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday for Monday Mindset.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.